Okay. Today, what we're going to be working on is, well, I guess for the MDI first, you just have to identify each angle pair as alternate interior, alternate exterior, corresponding, or same side interior. So, if we're looking at angle 7 and angle 6, you should have had that those are same side interior. They're on the same side of the transversal, and they're on the inside of the lines that are being cut. So these are same side interior. Okay? If we look at 8 and 4, 8 is here, 4 is here. So this is our transversal. They are on opposite sides of the transversal, and they are on the outside of the lines that are getting cut. So these would be alternate exterior angles. All right, here's your lunch. Today is September 27th. Make sure that you get that into your notes. Go ahead and draw the picture as well. Pause if you need to on the video. All right, this is a straight angle, and we've talked about straight angles before. Straight angles always add up to 180. So if we take the two angles that are here, 147 plus x, they have to add up to 180 degrees. So if I take and subtract out the 147 from both sides, we would get x is equal to 33 degrees. So this angle measure right here is 33 degrees. All right, go ahead and pause if you need so that you can write down the section, the title, and the learning goal. All right. So the success criteria is that we want to be able to differentiate between supplementary, complementary, adjacent, and vertical angles. There's our vertical angles again. We've been talking about it a while. All right. So you should have a note sheet. If you need to pause to pass out the note sheet, go ahead. All right, this is gonna bother me, so I gotta fix this. Okay, better. All right, so this side is gonna be all the complementary. This side is going to be all the supplementary, so if you just kind of wanna show that these are this is what complementary is over here, and this is what supplementary is over here. So complementary is two angles whose measures have a sum, and in math, remember, sum means that we add them together. Complementary angles have a sum of 90 degrees, which you can see right here by the little box in the corner. So down here we would say angle WXY is complementary to angle YXZ. So if we were to add these two angles up, we would get 65 plus 25. We would see that those are 90 degrees. Same thing with this one down here. These two angles here have to add up to 90. So if we do x plus 30 is equal to 90, subtract 30 from both sides, x is equal to 60. This, yes, is probably mental math, and most of you were able to just look at that and say, oh, yep, that x is 60. But what I want you guys to understand is that in some of these, we're going to have to write this out. So it's going to be best that you understand how to write these two angles into an equation. All right, supplementary. Two angles, and we talked a little bit about this on Tuesday. Two angles whose measures have a sum of 180 degrees. okay? So here, you can see a straight line, and we know the straight line is 180 degrees, so any straight line has at least two supplementary angles. So angle HIJ is supplementary to JIK. And again, down here, you would have x plus 135 is equal to 180. Subtract the 135 from both sides. X is equal to 45 degrees. And again, 45 plus 135, 180, everything checks out. All right, adjacent angles. We've talked about these a little bit. So you can think about adjacent angles as like two apartments in the same apartment building that are next door to each other. They have a wall that's in between them, okay? And adjacent angles have a common vertex and they have a common ray. So if you think about this is one apartment building and this is its neighboring apartment building, it's got the wall in between the two. So that's how you know that they're adjacent angles. They share this side. So two angles that are side by side, they have a common vertex and ray just means this side right here. Remember, this is a ray CA. So we would say angle ACB and ACD are adjacent. There's no little symbol for adjacent like there is for congruent and equal and that kind of thing. And they may or may not be congruent. So it doesn't necessarily mean there's no rule that it follows every single time. Sometimes they might be congruent and sometimes not. Vertical angles we've talked about quite a bit. Vertical angles are two angles formed by two intersecting lines. They are always, always, always congruent. They have the same angle measure. So we would say here, angle LMN and angle OMP, and angle LMO and angle NMP are vertical angles. So in this instance right here, because X and 115 are vertical angles, we know that X is equal to 115 degrees. And because 65 and Y are vertical angles, we know that Y is equal to 65 degrees. And if you look at this too, this is a straight line right here. If we take 65 and 115 and add it together, we would get 180. These two would have to add to 180, and then each one of these two would have to add to 180. They're all supplementary. All right, so here comes the fun stuff. I'm going to slide this up a little bit so that I can kind of have a little bit more room to write for this. So what I'm going to let you guys do is I'm going to let you guys pause the video for just a second, and I would like for you guys to put these three examples into your notes. So make sure that you draw out the picture and that you have all of the expressions here that represent all of the angles. All right. On example 1, we have a big angle right here, and this big angle is a 90-degree angle, and we can tell that from the little box in the center. So we know that these two angles right here have to add up to 90 degrees. So we're going to take these two pieces, these two expressions, and we're going to add them together. So we have x plus 3 plus 2x minus 3. Those are all going to be equal to 90. Really, we don't need the parentheses. I'm just showing you that it's one angle plus the second angle. So we can really write it as x plus 3 plus 2x minus 3 is equal to 90. And at this point, all it is just a matter of combining all the like terms. So we have like terms with our x's, and this would be a 1x, and this x here. So if I have 1x plus 2x, that's 3x. And then if I have the numbers, I have a positive 3 here and a negative 3 here. Those are going to add to 0, so they just go away. And then 3x is equal to 90. And then all we have to do to solve is just divide both sides by 3. So x is equal to 30. Now, this goes back to when we were working with on chapter 1. This is not necessarily the angle, it's just x. If we wanted to find the angle, what we would have to do is plug this in for x. And then we would be able to find our angle. So we would have 30 plus 3, which is 33 degrees. And then over here we would have 2 times 30 minus 3, which is 60 minus 3, or 57 degrees. So this angle here is 57 degrees, and this angle here is 33 degrees. Number 2, this one is supplementary. So we know that supplementary adds up to 180, so this one is going to add up to 180 degrees. So we have 4x plus 6 plus 11x minus 6 is equal to 180. And again, we don't really need to write this with the parentheses, so 4x plus 6 plus 11x minus 6 is equal to 180 degrees. So again, with the like terms, we have a positive 4x and a positive 11x, so that gives us 15x. And then with the numbers, so we have a positive 6 and we have a negative 6. Those cancel each other out, they add to 0. So we have 15x is equal to 180. And then all we have to do is just divide by 15. And if I've done this correctly, x should be equal to 12 degrees. And then that's not the measure of the angle, that just tells us what x is. So if we wanted to figure out this angle up here, we would do 4 times 12 plus 6, and we would do 11 times 12 minus 6. So 4 times 12 is 48, plus 6 is 54. So that means that this angle here is 54 degrees. 11 times 11 times 12 is 132, minus 6 is 126. So this angle right here is 126 degrees. All right, and then on the last one, we know that these two angles here are vertical angles. So we know that this one has to be the same as this one down here. So what we can do for this one is we can say 2x plus 6 is equal to 96. And that's going to tell us what x is equal to. So if we have 2x plus 6, all we have to do here is just subtract the 6 from both sides. So 2x is equal to 90 divided by 2. So that means that x is equal to 45. So in this one, x is equal to 45. And then in order to find y and z, we know that y and z are going to be the same because they're vertical angles. And here, we know that this is a straight angle right here. So when we take 96 plus z, that has to give us 180 degrees. So 96 plus what is 180? Well, it should be, I believe, 84. And if z is 84 degrees, y would also have to be 84 degrees. We don't need to plug this in here because we know when we do, what we should be getting is 96 degrees because these two are vertical angles. All right, that's it. You guys have the rest of the class period to work. You have board problems. You guys can pause this if you need to get your assignment done. I will mark it off when I'm back.